Dave's Vault, my fellow gamers. Here I'm just doing like a kind of follow-up video for some of these bigger models that I got. We'll go with this guy here. This is the Juggernaut. And I left this. This piece isn't actually cleaned, but it just pops on and off. So I've got him on his gigantic base and magnetized everything. So, and it's really just the tips of the weapons, so you can switch everything out, the flamer, drill, and you got here the giant hammer and the mining drill too. So yeah, just, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 magnets, and he's good. You have to put on his hands and his little instrument dial anyway, because when you slap his chest piece in, you can still see them from the top. See, there's his little gribbly fist, the instrument panel, and his other gribbly fist there. So they don't make it to where it's intuitive and it fits tightly to him, that you can just disregard all that fine detail that they put into the model. So I'm almost at odds with this. Clearly, you could put some extremely small magnets on there and it would be a friction fit piece, but there you're rubbing paint against paint, so it's like, dang it. It's kind of like this piece you would paint extra and then glue on top. You have to paint all this anyway. So it's like, dang it, do I want to do that? Do I not want to do that? It's all up to the look. If you wanted this really cool chest piece glued onto this guy, then sure, but you're already going to do the work. So I just wanted to show you that, and I wanted to show you a bit of a size comparison. So well, the hammer is part of him, but he's, I would say, quite a bit bigger than the Iron Ancestor. And I've got the bases, side by side. You can tell he's moving his hammer, but yeah, it's side by side. He's quite a bit bigger than the old boy Iron Ancestor. You would think that the footprint is the same, and you would think for the model that has more points, more health, and more armor and all that good stuff, that it would be just bigger, but it's not. That's also a much older model than this. This is brand new resin. I love this model. So assembling it was good. Mold lines, there were a few wretched ones. The arms were the worst part. For the mold lines, a lot of shaving down had to be done on the bicep plates here. And the back forearm pieces here had a lot of shaving down. But for the most part, it wasn't bad. This was not a bad kit. It's still a new mold, so possibly it's because it's a fresh mold, more than likely. So get yours now if you do get them. But I just love this kit. It's just amazing for options, and you only have really 2 extra pieces to worry about, and you get all the options. And then next, I wanted to talk about okay, I'm gonna pick up the pea home. All right, the Giant. This dude is awesome. I just recommend, if you don't have one, go get one. He's not expensive, and he is just fun on his own. My gosh, what a beastly model. It's the sculpting. Okay, first of all, I love the faces. Both faces were excellent. Their detail is just amazing. Whoever sculpted this is the man or the lady. It's just fantastic. Go into the pose here. I chose to put the arm back here. It just looked like a more relaxed walk pose. So with the main body, you have no options really, unless you start cutting and making your own twists and all that. Then that goes into a lot of green stuff work. And even with the head, the capelet here, you don't have much options. It's really the arms with the position. So yeah, I chose back there instead of a more forward graspy type look. I chose back for a relaxed walk. And then the club, you have options. You can put it way far down, and the club extends about here. And when you're thinking game terms, you want units to be able to get close in. It's just for game mechanics. Now, if you have a giant horde, the club still might be a problem for clearing hordes and stuff like that if it fits squarely in front, if it's a full frontal charge or something. But for the most part, unless it's cavalry, I mean, against dwarf armies you'll be perfectly fine, and then the halfling and ratkin armies. But armies of men and elves and stuff, you may have issues. But I didn't want it to be further out, because then what is he doing? He's like conducting an orchestra of giants. What? It made no sense, and really it didn't look like he's bringing the hammer down. It kind of was after a leisurely stroll with someone that needed to poop. Really, is what it is. He's just so angry. It's an angry stroll. He's following Theodore Roosevelt's suggestion, though. He might not be too quiet. He might have a little growl going on there. But, okay, so this stuff is like rubber. This is not hard plastic. This is not restic. I don't know, man. It's like hard rubber. So what I've been doing with the majority of this guy is I've been using my Stevens International files. They're these very fine sanding sticks. You can get them rougher than 800 by 800 grit. I've also been using, I have these things are pretty wicked. They've got a piece of metal in them, so you can bend them to the shape that you want. Get contours and stuff out of them. Not very well, actually. I guess you got to bend the mess out of them. This is much more aggressive grit, and it doesn't last long. See how it rubbed off there? Kind of bad, but it does a good job. And then for smoother contours and whatnot, I've been using a 400 grit sandpaper. Just getting in there on the contours and taking material away. You can also, of course, use little round files, and the X-Acto knife is, I would almost avoid it on a lot of things. Now, on his hair, I had to use the X-Acto knife because the mold line is crazy. It went across the tips of the hair and then went up and then went into his head and crossed over his dome piece. So he's a little bit difficult for that, but most of the mold lines are on these big smooth surfaces of his legs. You can see it was right there, and it's just slightly more matte than the rest of the leg, because the leg is a gloss. But so the mold line ran across that, and that was super easy to take off. But when it goes across the ropes and his hair, you do have to attend to it with the X-Acto. Now here, I am still doing gap fill issues. Underside of his neck, gap fill. Ooh man, I gotta get to that. His chest piece here, right there on his abdomen, on the inside of his abdomen, and a little bit on his legs. I need to fill that a bunch more. And actually here, by this section here needs fill. So he's a fantastic model, really great Gigantor centerpiece type guy. And this light here, there, just what an excellent dude. And painted up real well. He's going to be even cooler looking. And what I really like about him is that he is proportional, sculpted very well, and he's heavy, But also, like, I keep making the differences between him and a bone grinder giant. The bone grinder for Forge World is about yay taller, okay? So not that much more in height. And the bone grinder, he's kind of weird. He's like a matchstick with arms. He's got this giant head and really thin arms. Nothing is very proportional. And he's got, you know, the toes aren't proportional like this. He's got weird funky toes, weird funky fingers. It's like he's a mutant or the Elephant Man grown to great proportions. So he doesn't look menacing and strong, anything like that. He's just big. He's just tall. So, and his weapon doesn't look like this one has weight to it. It starts thin and grows large and has like mass to it. The bone grinder has the trebuchet, which it's all one straight pole for the siege engine, and then it'll have one chain part which always breaks, and then it will have the bucket, the trebuchet bucket, hanging on the end of it. So, I mean, it's cool. Yeah, he took a trebuchet arm and ripped it off, but it looks wonky. It's kind of like a flail with one chain link, and it looks wonky. It's not cool. Like, you know, I mean, this is what a giant would have. And they would probably have a trebuchet as well, but it doesn't have the weight, the raw look like this does. But anyway, I digress. And this guy, his costume is varied, which is really nice. So you'll have hides here that are stitched together, wooden board planks with shields and the rope. Very nice. Shields, of course. And then a great giant animal fur, because they do have like mammoths and different things in this Mantic world, you know, whatever it's called, Mantica or something. But, you know, this is typical of what a giant would do. You know, it has ropes from ships and all that good stuff. You can tie it on. Some more boards back there because it's plentiful. The bone grinder giant from Forge World, it has a tunic made of this stuff. So basically you can't do a lot of the same color. You would do like different heraldry from different flags is basically what you're thinking. You could probably do some ship sail white or whatnot, but you're really led to think this guy's sewing banners together instead of using natural animal fur and all that good stuff. My issue with this, aside from it being a rubbery type material, which is a little difficult to clean, is the arrows. Man, these things are huge and clunky. They look like sausages with these very thick fletchings. And okay, so Mantic had to make some decisions. You can see it's rubber. It's just, you can kind of tell from how that's flexing. This is really extremely rubbery. Very difficult to clean. Know what I'm saying? There's no hard plastic here. But anyway, so Mantic had some decisions to make. And I think that this was actually good. For the size of the model, you're thinking for arrows to be seen, represented, and actually identified, they would have to be bigger on this bigger model. But in all actuality, they're going to be fine little thin needle things if they're fired from bows from people of this size. This is the cool bit that's hanging off of them. Just, you know, put them there or something as a midday snack. You'll grab some of them and, you know, finger sandwiches or something like that. But anyway, from a model this size that's firing a bow, if you just take it and look, that's not something he would notch into a bowstring and let loose. Okay, that is like something he would load into a ballista. Okay, you know, you could say, hey, yeah, these are going to be ballista bolts. You could say that, but yeah, they're not arrows. But for the sense of his size and to be represented from a distance, say you're looking at this model from a table away or something like that, you see these things sticking out of his arms, and you're like, oh, okay, those are arrows. Cool beans. I'm on the fence. Like, do I put these things in as is, or do I make my own out of, you know, Greenleaf card or rod, and then card as well, and I can scratch on those just to make it look realistic. And the sections where they fit, those 2 holes there on that arm, and then it's got like 4 holes there. See the 4th hole on the top. So that's where they go. I could do brass rod as well. Anything would be thinner than this, so I could make arrows, and they would be far thinner and more to scale is what it would be. These are out of scale, especially when you're considering this guy that's on him as a meal snack. You know, he wouldn't be firing these. But anyway, this is, I digress, awesome model. Just deal with the rubber plastic feel to him and just enjoy his bigness. The dude is sculpted so well. Best giant on the market, in my opinion. Really good sculpt, really good posability, you know, with the casual walk and stuff like that. He's proportional, and he isn't $200. It's not even a quarter of that. Most of the times, he is not $50. Is this guy worth $50? In my opinion, he is. In my opinion, he is an excellent sculpt, and he's worth quite a bit. But yeah. Anyway, I'm just excited to finally have a giant, even if it's just like a roaming giant for games. This dude fits the bill most excellently. And I may get a second one just to put the different options on him, the sword and board, you know, for the 2 different arms and the different head, and maybe without the cape. I don't know, I really like this cape though. This is a capelet thing. It's awesome. Very good detail. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys these things as they were being built and how, you know, massive they are and how excellent. I know it's a different universe, but, and he's a little dwarfy guy. Of course, men models just stand a little bit taller, that's it. But yeah, he totally fits the bill of a giant. 100%. Scary. So anyway, you guys take it easy. I'll talk at you later. Carry a liaison.